St-Laurent Boulevard has changed an awful lot over the years, but a century-old sewing supply shop has basically been frozen in time. Ash Fisher et Fils closed a few years ago, but the Museum of Jewish Montreal has brought it back to life as a pop-up exhibit. Taryn Fleischman, I feel like I've walked into a time capsule. The shop closed in 2022, but everything was basically left as is.
Exactly. You can tell just by the response we've been having to this shop opening that it was such a special place, and it felt very integral that we keep it this way. Esther Fisher, who ran this store in its last 30 years, would provide materials to larger organizations like the opera, Cirque du Soleil. However, she also, as the business got older and older, became really familiarized with the students, design students from, UQAM and around the city, and would supply them, anything they really needed: fabric, thread, scissors. She was known for having extremely specialized materials. I think when someone comes in, it looks maybe a bit chaotic, but as you spend time in here, you realize there's actually a bit of intention behind some of the chaos, organized chaos. The walls are lined with just bolts of fabric. There's boxes of zippers wherever you look, buttons, towered high. We've also now included clips from Esther that were taken from a 2022 interview done with the museum. And so that really helps to animate the space and for people to understand the woman who was running the shop up until the end.
Do you have a favorite thing in this shop?
Yes, I do. It is her whisk scissors that are by the front. There are these really large, handcrafted, heavy-duty scissors that we've sort of deemed them as they were considered a rite of passage, I think, in Esther's eyes, in that when new design students would come in, she always found that they wanted the whisk scissors right away. But she was of the mindset that that's something you grow into, is having ownership of these whisk scissors. So she would deny it. And then she would say, when you're ready, and once you've decided you're going to be a designer, you come back and you can have them.
This place tells a history, right? It talks about Jewish Montreal as well as the industry, the sewing industry, the garment industry. So is that part of the tour that you provide, the history of this place and the larger, broader history of Jewish Montreal?
Yeah, we do. It's, when you come into the shop, especially if you're just walking in and you're not familiar with the neighborhood, to the average person, it's an old sewing supply store. But really, it's a part of this larger history, as you say, a network of the garment industry that once existed on Lower St. Laurent. We do give people, when they come in, an understanding of what was once in this neighborhood, and there's lots of enthusiasm around that. I think this space is so unique because it's a tactile and real standing representation of the history that was here. And so we're seeing lots of positive response to people really wanting to understand the neighborhood they're in and what it once looked like. Otherwise, there's just such enthusiasm for the quantity of things in here. It's just, it's just like, it's brimming with materials. There's just so much going on, and there's so much to look at. You could kind of spend all day here if you wanted to, just finding special objects and special, Esther's handwriting on the wall as we looked at, and there's just so much to see.
She sounds like such a character. Do you think she'd be happy to know that this place became a museum?
I do, yeah. In one of the interviews, she talks about taking over the store, and I think at that point there was the possibility of the store ending. But she really took it on herself to keep it going. It meant a lot to her. I think it was a really strong connection for her to, to her husband who had passed away. They were really close, and I think on a personal level that was really important, but I think she also sensed the significance of this space in the community. And she was aware that the museum would likely come in and make it this space, and I think she would be really happy.